And welcome to the third episode of the Dawgs podcast. Today we're breaking down the 2020 free agent class. Let's kick this thing off.
Welcome to the Dawgs podcast with your hosts Blake Renneker, Zach Kopp, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
All right, guys. Good to see you again. Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a while. What, about 10 minutes?
Yeah, maybe 15.
Just so everybody out there knows, we are recording 2 episodes here on one day, trying to get everybody's schedules here to line up.
You know, we're a bunch of young business professionals. We've got a lot of things in a lot of different places, out there working. It's hard to line up our schedules.
Justin and I tried to throw you off with our wardrobe change.
Yeah. Me too.
And I stayed the same. So. For everybody watching on YouTube.
Right.
Well, guys, last episode of the draft, this episode free agency, kind of bring the whole Browns roster together. All in all, I think pretty good free agent class for the Browns. Filled some holes, got a couple key pieces, spent a lot of money. Before we dive into free agency, though, I think we wanted to look at what some of our worst free agent pickups in franchise history were, which it's a long list, so let's just focus on a couple of these. What's everybody's favorite worst free agent signing?
I thought it was tough to pick a worst first-round pick.
Hey, we're the Browns.
They give us plenty of content.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, well, I'll start us off. I'll go with Kenny Britt.
Dwayne Bowe?
Yeah, kind of the same type of a guy, but yeah, Kenny Britt was just terrible. He had a big season, got a huge contract, signed him for 4 years, $32.5 million. He only played 9 games, actually went to Dorsey and said, hey, I don't want to play on a losing team, and asked for his release. A day later, he was gone. So,
I mean, what a joke.
yeah.
I used to read or listen to a lot of things that said players saw the Browns as kind of like, end of my career. I can go there and make a quick $10 million, not really try hard, get in, get out, and then make a lot of money at the end of my career. To me, what a monster POS to do something like that.
That's what you want your franchise to be known for.
Yeah. we're the NFL.
We're nothing.
We're the Florida of NFL.
Right.
I mean, what a joke. Now I'm just getting irritated. This is supposed to be fun. What about you, Justin?
I'll go with Jeff Garcia, quarterback. You might remember him playing for San Francisco. He was pretty successful there. Came to Cleveland, was not really accurate. I think they said 57% completion percentage. Injuries all over the place. 3-7 record. The worst is he left, and then he went 5-1 with Philly the next year, and then still did 2 more years with Tampa Bay. Crazy story. Either it was my wife or my mother-in-law went to Goodwill and found a Cleveland Browns pillow, and on the back is Jeff Garcia's autograph. I think she paid $1.
She overpaid.
Still in my man cave. The one side is sweet. The side with the signature, not so sweet.
It'd be worth more if it was signed by Andy Garcia.
Right.
Is that like the one item that you have an autograph on that you don't display the autograph?
Well, there's some other nice pieces there, but yeah, I just flipped that one. Flipped around. There's no Fanatics.
Hey, is that one signed?
COA on it.
No, it's not signed.
It's I just lay my head on that one.
Yeah. What about you, Josh?
Oh, man, I'm going to go with a little more recency here and talk about RG3. That was when Hugh Jackson told everybody in the draft, I'm going to take Cody Kessler. Just trust me on this one.
I did.
Yeah, okay, Hugh. and then here, bring in RG3 to come in and save the day, and he did everything but.
Right.
And it was just a mess. Just another poor quarterback decision. Just us plugging in a has been, pretty much it never was really.
Yeah,
Yep.
a one-season wonder.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Dante Stallworth. And mostly because I can't believe we signed him fresh off a murder.
Right.
I couldn't believe this guy was free. He wasn't playing in the California Penal League.
Yeah.
So he should have been playing the guards.
Yeah. I don't get how this guy was free to come on a roster. And I remember thinking too, man, Dante Stallworth had some good games. He maybe, if he can forget the fact that he just killed somebody, he'll put up some numbers for us. And he did not.
Wasn't the case.
No, he had 10 catches for 170 yards with the Browns. He only had 9 more catches than people he killed that year.
Oh my God.
It's not okay.
So, I mean, I really that to me, that's just a terrible pick. Not only just for optics of your organization, and then he comes out and puts up 10 catches. That's like a good game. He did it for a season for the Browns.
So it was him and Bo and Kenny Britt.
Yeah.
What a core.
All yeah.
Not
What
catching
were
the
they
ball
doing
together.
with those? Yeah, with those receivers. I mean, yeah, just not some good decisions at all.
Well, I'm glad we got that out of the way. But another thing I want to talk about before we dive into free agency, I heard some crazy trade rumors, that always come around this time of year when free agents are being signed and stuff. One of them I saw was that the Browns were actually interested in acquiring Russell Wilson, and the Seahawks were actually interested in giving him up, which completely blows my mind.
When was this?
I think it was for last year or 2 years ago?
2018.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
First round pick.
Okay.
we were going to get Baker, right? Now, to me, I love Baker. I was at the Jets game when he came out, and so he's going to have to do a lot for me to not be a Baker fan after that. But I'd take Russell Wilson in a heartbeat. And I came up with obviously this is a super crazy scenario, and I'm not saying I would 100% do this, but I'm saying I can make the argument for this. I'd trade just about anything for Russell Wilson. And I threw this out here to these guys. I'd give up Myles Garrett and Odell for Russell Wilson.
Yeah, you're crazy.
And then
That
what do
is
you,
the worst
like right
thing.
Get
now,
outta
right?
here.
You're saying right now.
Right now, I'd
What do you
give
do
him-
with Baker then?
I'd trade him for somebody.
So now you got rid of Baker, Odell,
Odell.
and Myles Garrett for Russell.
So who's Russell throwing the ball to?
For Russell and whoever you can get for Baker. Huh?
Who's he throwing the ball to?
Oh, we just talked about all the tight ends we have. We have Jarvis Landry.
You're crazy.
Whatever
Yeah, I
receiver we can trade for Baker Mayfield. Listen, guys, Russell Wilson has made a career, like a Hall of Fame career, out of throwing to no-name receivers. Even without Odell, the Browns would have the best talent that he's ever played with.
No, but you got to remember, Russell Wilson has had continuity his whole career. He's had Pete Carroll as his head coach the whole time, and Pete Carroll is a great head coach. Baker's on his 4th now, right?
Right.
Yeah, so
And the defense in Seattle. I mean, when have they ever had a bad defense where you're like, Seattle, they're giving up 30 points a game?
no, and they got that run game.
Well, the Browns have a
proven.
run game.
No.
He rushed for 1,500 yards last year.
Yeah, now we have a run game.
And I want to trade for him now.
With those two guys, no way. You're
I'm-
crazy.
I'm
If
telling
there's
you.
any viewers out there that agree with Blake,
I'm not. Hey, I'm not saying I would pull
Call
the
in and
trigger
we'll
on
hang
it.
up on you.
yeah,
I'm not saying
please
I'd pull-
comment and let us know what you think.
I'm not saying I'd pull the trigger on the trade. I'm saying I can make an argument for the trade. Myles Garrett, as good as he can be, I feel like he disappears. He had 10 sacks in 10 games last year, 4 in one game. That means there's 4 games out there where he is non-existent.
I'm with Blake on that one point there. Myles Garrett has not been, to me, what he should be for what he was supposed to be.
I'll go on the record right now and say Myles Garrett's going to have a huge season coming up.
That's what
he's
we-
going to be. He's going to come out. I mean, he has to.
We hope- yeah,
Everything that's happened, he is going to have a huge monster season.
That's what we thought last year, too. And like I said, 10 games, you look at his stats and you think 10 games, 10 sacks, he's doing really well. But I watch all those games, and there's games where he disappears.
Do you think there's a chance that maybe this time next year or even the year after that we're throwing Myles Garrett into that list of first-round busts that we're sitting here joking about?
No.
I mean, he's not just a first round; he's a number 1 overall pick.
DeMarcus Russell was too.
And like I said, I think Myles Garrett has the potential to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But he's a freak athlete. But you can't go 4 games with no sacks and be considered a game changer. Khalil Mack never disappears. You watch a Bears game, and Khalil
You
Mack
can tell he's not on the field.
is every
He's one
single
of
play.
I'll watch a game for defense when I'm watching the Bears.
yeah.
And I don't do that really for any team.
Right.
fun.
And so that's why I'm saying,
I still think you're crazy, though.
and then Odell, I love him, and I don't want to get rid of Odell, but he would be, we would still have Jarvis and whatever we could get for Baker, plus Harrison
Hollywood.
Bryant, plus Harrison Bryant, the new tight end Cooper, plus Njoku if he can catch the ball. it would be it would be the best team Russell Wilson's ever played on offensively still without Odell. And you'd be out Myles Garrett. You just picked up like
well, if you tell me that Myles Garrett's going to go around and hit somebody else with his helmet, maybe you make that trade. If you know that he's going to do that. But I agree with Justin. I think Myles Garrett's going to be great this year.
I sure hope so.
I think Odell is going to benefit. I don't know how long we keep Odell. I don't know if he fits in a Stefanski type of a system. I know Diggs and they had Diggs and Thielen there. Sometimes they'd get upset, in that type of a system. That
didn't go very well with Diggs.
Yeah, so and Odell's more outlandish than Stephon Diggs. So, but
the craziest thing about this whole conversation is that the Seahawks, that's the part.
What were they doing?
Like they would seriously have interest in trading Russell Wilson for anything?
Right.
I read it. They orchestrated it. Like Hugh Jackson said, we would have never given up the number 1 pick, but like at least it was started on Seattle. Seattle started the talks, and it was talked about.
And you said, he has Pete Carroll, great coach. It's consistency. Pete Carroll, I agree, is a good coach. But his first time in the NFL, he did not do well. And when did he start doing well in the NFL? When he had Russell Wilson. So
chicken or the egg, huh?
Exactly. Yep. I'm not a Myles Garrett hater. I love both of them. I love Odell. I'm just saying, to me, Russell Wilson's a future Hall of Famer. And what do future Hall of Famers do for your team? They take you to Super Bowls. So,
well, maybe we'll get some input from the fan base here this week, and just let us know. Is Blake nuts? Would you guys trade Garrett and Odell for Russell Wilson?
No. No. Silly guys.
Justin has spoken for you all.
Right.
But go ahead. We like the feedback, but I'll take your word for it now. It's fine.
Well, you guys are just a bunch of haters. All right. So that being said, I think we should move into people who actually are on our team now. Let's dive into this 2020 free agent class. I think we should get started. Big signing of the offseason, tight end Austin Hooper, 4 years, $42 million, formerly with the Falcons. I think this is a great pickup.
Yeah, I agree. That's a lot of money.
Highest paid tight end in the NFL right now.
My only argument for that is highest paid tight end. Next year, the TV deal goes through. Those numbers are going to go up. But is he a Travis Kelce? No. Is he a Zach Ertz? No. Is he extremely reliable? Is he going to do a lot for this system? Yeah. I mean,
to me, too, you have to look, who are we?
Right.
We're the Cleveland Browns. Mm-hmm. So, one, we had the money. What are we saving it for? Two, in order to get people to come to Cleveland, we're not a vacation destination. We're historically the laughing stock of the NFL. If you want to bring in a Pro Bowler type player, sometimes you got to overpay.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we're going to have to pay somebody more than Dallas does because we're not the Cowboys. We're the mistake by the lake.
Right. And this is not going to be a signing where the guy comes in, catches 9 passes for the whole year, and that's it. I mean, Austin Hooper will be utilized. I mean, so I was looking up the Vikings last year because Stefanski ran their offense. They used, I think last time you just threw out the number 70% for 2 tight end sets, which is high, but the Vikings, they ran 2 tight end sets 57% of the time, which is the second highest in the league. The only one that did it more was Philadelphia. And look who they've got, right? They've got Ertz and Goddard.
Yep.
And now, I paid a lot of attention last year to the Vikings because Dynasty Fantasy, I had Irv Smith Jr. was their rookie tight end last year. Mm-hmm. And I was watching a lot of how they utilize Kyle Rudolph as like your main prototypical tight end. The big bodied guy is going to go out there and block. He's going to catch the big, go up high and get the balls and everything like that. And then you've got Irv Smith Jr. they used as the motion guy out the slot. He did a lot of, in motion, and he rolled out into the flats and everything like that. So maybe we're going to use Njoku like that.
I hope so.
Let him be the more athletic guy, the big-bodied guy, but then let Hooper go out and be the tight end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Big thing with Hooper that I liked is he kind of emerged into 2018 season as, a standout. He had, he had 71 catches, 660 yards, 4 touchdowns. Okay, so kind of maybe was that one-hit wonder. We see that a lot with tight ends in the NFL. But then followed it up in 2019 with 787 yards and 75 catches. So
in 3 less games.
Right. So if you look at that and you combine those seasons, he's averaging at least 5 catches a game for 50 yards. If we get that out of him, I'll be happy.
One thing I'll say, too, is I feel like everybody's kind of looking for that tight end, like that Njoku type tight end, that freak athlete who can run the fields. There's only been one that does that on a consistent basis in the last 10 years is Gronk.
Yeah.
For the most, I mean, Jimmy Graham disappeared.
Yep.
Gronk had a counterpart for a while that was pretty decent.
Yeah.
Well, but if you look at Gronk, though, I mean, Gronk was also, I should say, is also that
The big
your
blocking.
prototypical blocking, your big tough tight end who can also go out and catch. He just happened to be a freak athlete.
Yeah. Can anybody tell me any crazy freak athlete tight ends that are still successful?
If you think about it, somebody who is supposed to be that, O.J. Howard, not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
Don't ask.
Jonnu Smith for the Titans, they keep saying that he's that kind of guy, but
It
he's the
doesn't-
same
just
as
doesn't
Njoku.
work.
You don't see it. It
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
So, I mean, I think this kind of guy that can do a little bit of everything, I think it's a super solid pickup.
This is why I said I think Njoku could be the third tight end by the end of the year because I think Harrison
out.
Bryant could come up and be the number 2.
I think Njoku has a crazy high ceiling, and it's just he's got Greg Little hands sometimes.
Oh,
That's not good.
why do you got to say?
It's not good.
We
There's
need to come up
another
with
guy.
a list of names that you cannot say on this show,
Yeah,
and
you
Greg
can't
Little's on that
reference
list.
Greg Little.
Yeah, he who must not be named.
So last year, our tight ends, Cleveland's tight ends, you had Demetri Harris, Pharaoh Brown, Carlson, Ricky Seals-Jones, and Njoku combined for 41 receptions, 497 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Like he said, the stat line on Hooper, and he missed 3 games, was 75 catches, 787 yards, and 6 touchdowns.
Dude,
Did we not just completely just knock it out of the park with that?
Yes, those guys that you just listed, they're all the same type of tight end,
Yes.
and it's the type that doesn't work.
Right. Yep.
So, home run, Austin Hooper.
I agree with you. I think Njoku, I literally last year I thought, hey, maybe this is a Freddie thing. Depending on what happens at camp,
yeah, he might not
be
even
the
be on
odd
the
man
team
out.
this year. Yeah.
I mean, he might be on the team, but
The
I
Browns
don't know
just
about
picked
Blake.
up his 5th-year option.
Oh, that's right.
So that
yeah.
tells me that they don't want to give up on him because they see the same thing we do when
That's
he
why
walks
they-
around in a cutoff shirt. The dude's got muscles for days.
Well, that's why I think you'll see him splitting out a little bit, or maybe even lining up in the backfield, motioning all around the field.
Trim a little weight a little bit, maybe.
Maybe acting more as like a wide receiver than he will a tight end because he's not a tight end.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we're all in agreement here. I think this is a great pickup for the Browns and a great pickup for Baker Mayfield. He needs a big, reliable
Baker's a
target.
huge
like this.
winner right here.
Yes.
Huge winner.
Yep.
And speaking of helping Baker out, our next big signing, Jack Conklin, right tackle, 3 years, $42 million, formerly with the Titans. He was a 2016 first-round draft pick, 8th overall. What's crazy, I read this, the Browns actually traded with the Titans that draft, so when the Titans moved up to grab this guy. So
Yeah, that was our pick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and now he's coming to Cleveland. Big thing I like about Conklin, he's only 25 years old. Getting him young, still got a lot of good years of football left in him.
Right.
In what was a big problem with our line last year, both our tackles. Dressed one in free agency, one in the draft, and I think the Browns are set up now, have a big type season.
May I please just throw out a tackle stat real quick?
Yeah, go
Yes.
ahead.
All right. Conklin was the 3rd-ranked right tackle last season, okay? So we have the 3rd-ranked right tackle. We have the number 10 overall pick, probably going to play left tackle. Hubbard and Greg Robinson were both outside the top 40 last year.
Yeah.
So we just got rid of 2 outside the top 40 tackles that blew and replaced them with the number 3 right tackle and a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
If you're Baker Mayfield,
You are just Austin Hooper.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, come on.
the next guy we talk about, it seems like there's a lot of support for that Baker Mayfield guy.
Yeah.
I mean, the tackles were so bad last year.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't see anything. We didn't see Greg Robinson from the season before, who was trying to make a name for himself after being a bust. We saw drug dealing Greg Robinson.
Who got busted?
Oh my God.
Well played.
Yeah, no, I definitely think Baker. I think a lot of people out there, and there's some Browns fans that are down on Baker because he didn't have a great year. But when you look at the numbers of what he had in front of him and blocking for him and the coaching staff that was there and things that were being called, I think that's why a lot of people need to give him, give him another, give him a couple more.
7th most times in the NFL. 40 sacks last year. That line gave up.
Yeah, hard to be accurate when you're running for your life as soon as you touch the ball.
And I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but a lot of Baker haters will throw out, even when he had a clean pocket, his completion percentage was low or something like that. The problem is if you're so used to not having a clean pocket, even when there's a clean pocket, you don't feel like it. Any second you're going to be getting hit. So I think it does not just as much in terms of actual protection, just the psyche of Baker Mayfield. He feels more comfortable sitting behind this line.
Half the time, I swear he looked like he had a concussion out there anyway. I mean, partway through the game, you could just tell Baker's just not right. So I remember the Titans game last year, the very first game. He went into, I think it was right after halftime, maybe he came out and got hit. I think it was when they got that safety on us.
Yeah.
He got up. I'm like, he's not right.
Yeah, he's 20 pounds overweight.
I like this signing, Conklin. Blocked for an okay running back there in Tennessee.
Yeah, started all 16 games last year for a Titans team that kind of took the league by storm late in the year. And, oh, by the way, blocked for the NFL rushing leader.
Yeah, that's another thing, too. I mean, we keep saying Baker's a winner. Baker's going to be awesome. Watch out for Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
Hopefully he gets more than 10 carries the last 2 games.
I think under this system he will.
Yeah.
Yeah. You saw how they used Dalvin Cook last year.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he was the main guy. And then we have Kareem Hunt. So, I mean, we could have probably the best running game in the league if we play everything right.
I mean, call me crazy, but I think Nick Chubb could get 2,000.
It's not out of the realm of possibility.
I'm not saying he will. I'm just saying
he's talented enough.
He could get 2,000.
The only reason I could see it, what hinders is having a Kareem Hunt who's going to take yards and carries away at times. But I mean, it's definitely not impossible.
Because they're not going to use Chubb as your standard 3-down back. Because they're going to bring Kareem Hunt in on those third down, those passing situations, and he might get a carry and stuff like that here and there, and kind of take away from him.
I think we all agree though that of the 2 backs we got, Chubb's the best one, right?
Oh yeah,
yes.
Yeah. So that's the thing too. Is it if this were a fantasy football discussion, we'd be all about it'd be great if Chubb got all the carries. But as a Cleveland Browns discussion, this is awesome.
Insane,
we have 2 super stud running backs running behind an awesome offensive line. I mean, this is exciting.
With a coach that just wants to run the football.
Yeah, and the offensive line coach who just wants to pound the ball. I mean, this is.
You guys think Chubb's our best offensive player?
I do personally, yeah. For 2 years now, I just sit and watch the guy and go, man, I can't believe he just got 8 yards on nothing.
Yeah, go back to that eye test. I mean, you watch him, you're like, he's awesome.
And coming out of Georgia, you saw that. It's just, I think, with the injury,
So I'm saying if he's our best player, I think he needs to touch the ball 20 to 30 times a game.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's got to get 20 almost regardless of what your game plan is or what's happening in the game. And then, if you're trying to control the clock, you're winning a football game, he's the guy that's got to have the ball in his hands, not throwing it and stopping the clock like Browns do.
How many times did Derrick Henry run the ball last year? And, I mean, you look at, Stefanski with Minnesota then, too. I mean, all they wanted to do was run the ball. I mean, Chubb could get 20 carries a game, and Kareem Hunt could still get 10.
Right.
This is true.
Yeah.
Minimum,
So we could easily have 2,000-yard rushers this year.
I'm excited.
Yeah, and we just
you look like it.
And we just bolstered up the offensive line. Yeah, calm down over there, Zach. I mean, come on. We still got more show to do. All right, so I think Jack Conklin, great pickup for us, for the fantasy teams, and for Baker. This guy, I think, is going to help Baker and push him. QB Case Keenum, formerly with the Redskins, but I think more importantly, formerly with the Vikings and under Stefanski. Stefanski wasn't the offensive coordinator, but I think he was assistant.
QB coach.
QB coach, okay. Yep. We paid top dollar for this guy to be a backup. 3 years, $18 million, I think $10 million guaranteed.
Yep, $10 million.
But he's considered one of the top veteran QBs on the market for a backup role. Career passer rating of 85.3. I mean, he just puts up solid numbers anywhere he goes. I think last year his QB rating was like 90. He didn't play a ton of games last year, but says they want to get Dwayne Haskins in, but the guy just performs, and he's been in this system before. He's going to be able to help Baker, coach him up on things. I think it's going to be huge in the QB room. Yeah,
he's a great leader to have on the team. I mean, when was the last time that the Browns had against Josh McCown, this type of a backup quarterback where if he went in the game or somebody got hurt, you had to play him, that you felt like he was reliable and he gave you the chance to win rather than, there's no way we're going to win with this guy type of a feeling.
Yeah, but that was usually when the starters didn't give you a chance to win either.
Right. Yeah.
Just for some reference, when this guy did get a chance to lead a team Vikings went 11-3. He had almost a 68% completion percentage. Threw for 3,500 yards, 22 touchdowns, only 7 picks.
Yeah, he's definitely a game manager type of quarterback. I think if Baker can learn, I think he's got a lot that he can learn from a Case Keenum. And I think Case Keenum can teach him a lot about the system that Stefanski wants to run. I think that's why he was brought in. I don't think that he's an everyday starter anymore in the NFL. He got a big contract to come and play for his old coach and a team that's, kind of young and needed that veteran leadership. And I think he fills that role.
One thing I think it might get overlooked too is Case Keenum in college. He played for that was a spread attack, threw it 50 times a game, kind of like the same system Baker came from. And he came to the NFL and he learned to adapt to a pro style, run first, bootleg, play action type offense. He can kind of coach Baker through that. Baker's a gunslinger, and we like that about him. But sometimes he's got to reel it back. And I think this is the kind of guy who can help him with that.
I look at Case Keenum as an $18 million investment by the Browns in Baker Mayfield.
Yep.
Yeah. And so what's that tell you about how they view Baker Mayfield, that they're willing to invest $18 million in a guy that, hope to God, will not see the field one time?
Right.
You know what I mean? To come in and be the mentor, to be that voice of experience into Baker Mayfield's ear. I mean, that's huge. To me, that says we really do believe in the talent level of Baker Mayfield. We believe the leadership and that he can be that franchise quarterback for the next 10, 12 years.
I absolutely agree with both of you guys. I mean, he's brought in a mentor role. He's going to help the transition into the new coaching system. And like you said, Zach, if, God forbid, anything happens to Baker, I remember last year when he threw the ball and it hit the dude's helmet, we all pretty much just...
Yeah. It's like the lost season is lost.
Yeah. There really is no way we can make the playoffs now.
Yeah.
But, if in that situation, this guy comes in, he can still lead this team. I've heard references that he's one of the smartest quarterbacks in the room. The guy's just... And like you said, great investment.
To me, another guy who plays with a chip, pretty sure undrafted out of Houston, multiple knee injuries back in the day, so he just always got something to prove. And again, I know we're talking about how we brought him in as a backup, but I don't think he's the kind of guy who's going to let Baker just have the job. He's going to push him.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, for sure.
For sure. And just for reference, the Browns paid Drew Stanton less than $4 million last year.
Yep.
Yeah. This guy's getting $10 million guaranteed, $18 million contract. That's an investment.
Yep.
In your starter.
All right. Well, those are the big free agent signings, what I would consider the ones that I expect, to make the biggest impacts for the Browns. We've got a couple more good ones, though. One of my favorite signings of the year, Carl Joseph. We got a 1-year deal from the Raiders. He's a 2016 first-round draft pick by the Raiders, 14th overall. To me, you guys remember when I think it was Dante Whitner.
Yes.
Kind of reminds me of that.
Okay.
A guy who's going to come in and just be a leader for your defense. He's going to mentor the young guys. We got a lot of young guys on our defense. Denzel Ward's only a third-year corner.
Mm-hmm.
Greedy's only a second year. And to me, a big guy, we just took Delpit.
Delpit benefits tremendously.
Yeah, we just talked about how we think Delpit's guy of the future for the Browns. And to me, this guy helps him get there. And he makes it so Delpit doesn't have to start right away if he's not ready. We can run with Carl Joseph for a couple games if we need to, and he'll be serviceable. He'll play solid football for us.
I think this helps Red Wine too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's kind of like that veteran leader to create kind of like a rotational situation with these safeties until Delpit gets up to speed and can kind of be that full-time, beast that we think he's going to be, that we hope he's going to be.
Yeah, started 10 games for the Raiders last year, second on the team in tackles until he got hurt. So he has a nose for the football. And first-round draft pick only 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. So, the talent's there. So I think, to me, it's one of my favorite signings, under-the-radar signings that the Browns did this year.
Yeah, I'm looking at safety this year as kind of that position where they're going to try to put depth and bodies in, at the safety position to constantly have somebody rotating in and out of there until they get a constant starter.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that Carl Joseph, there were some times last year he didn't have the best core surrounding him, but, having the press man cornerbacks as Ward, Greedy Williams, and then we just picked up Kevin Johnson as our slot corner on the field with Sendejo, too, a veteran guy also on the back end. I didn't mention Delpit in any of those names. So, I mean, we have a pretty loaded group of guys that we can have on that back line to add to what we've already got on the front line.
Yeah, going on what Zach said too, just with all these contracts are all like 1 year veteran, basically contracts come in, support tons of raw young talent.
It's almost like we signed a bunch of 1 year coaches.
Yeah. Come in, mentor, have a leadership role in the locker room, but also, like you said, serviceable. They can plug in, they can rotate in.
I think another thing we saw, we got to have depth. We thought coming in last year we're going to have one of the best secondaries in football with Denzel Ward, Greedy Williams, and Demarius Randall.
Mm-hmm.
And Randall, Ward, and Greedy all missed significant time. And we're running. And then what's his face? T.J. Carey got hurt, or the other one?
Mitchell.
Mitchell.
Terrence Mitchell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we're on our 4th, 5th corners. These guys were practice squad players.
Pulling guys off the squad.
Yeah, so I think this just the deeper a football team you are, the better a football team you are. It breeds competition in practice, and injuries happen in the NFL.
Yeah, well, and this is where you got to be deep if you're the Browns, because you've got a D line that's pretty good, right? And you've got your depth in your secondary, because your linebacking area is young, inexperienced. You need that the pressure and the greatness up front, and then you need the support in the back, especially when you're kind of weaker in that middle.
And I like having safeties that aren't afraid to tackle, especially with that young linebacking core. You know, we bring in a guy who is second on his team in tackles. That just helps Mack Wilson, Taki, and unfortunately Jacob Phillips. Mm-hmm. That just helps them in the run game. So, yeah, like I said, probably my favorite under-the-radar signing of the Browns so far.
Yeah, I think Joseph can be kind of used as one of those hybrid type of, safety cornerback. Bring him up against the Ravens team that you're going to get a lot of RPO looks. Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, Mark Ingram. Got a lot of guys you got to stop, and you got to be willing to come up and make a tackle, otherwise they're going to punish you. So I think he could, really help against teams like that in the division that we got to play twice a year.
That's a good point, too, because they're not going to have a lot of – they have one speedy receiver going to try to shoot down the field on you, and that's it.
Right.
Everything else is tight ends, running backs. So,
well, speaking of that linebacker core, we added to it in free agency this year. B.J. Goodson, formerly with the Packers, signed to a 1-year deal. I'll be honest, this is a guy I don't know a ton about. I did some research on him. I saw some things that said he's going to be a plug-and-play guy for Joe Schobert. Well, Joe Schobert led the team in tackles every single year he was here. This guy doesn't have as many tackles in his career as Joe Schobert would normally get in a season. So I'm not seeing it here, but, I didn't break down the film on him for hours and hours before I made this signing. He had a 66.2 grade by Power Football Focus, 41st among linebackers in the league. He was a 2016 4th-round draft pick by the Giants. To me, this is a signing almost like a locker room signing. He's probably a smart guy, and he's just going to be there in case Mack Wilson and Taki need help.
Yeah, I think so. And, I mean, you said, he was picked by the Giants. We got him. He was with the Packers, and I don't think he's only been on 3 teams. Is it 4 teams? I think maybe this is his 4th team now or something like that.
I'm seeing the Giants from 2016 to 2018, then a 1-year deal in 2019 with the Packers.
Okay, so now he's on his 3rd team. So, yeah, probably not not a standout talent, but if he's a smart guy, good leader, like you said, good locker room guy. I mean, it makes sense to bring him in when you got young potential in Wilson and Taki.
Yep, I think he's with Jacob Phillips. This is a developmental thing. I mean, I think you plug him inside, like you said, with Mack Wilson, Taki. He's there for a year, so there's no long-term commitment. This isn't going to be the future. Does it fill a hole immediately, though? I mean, possibly.
Yeah, he everything that I've kind of looked up about him says that he's not a great cover linebacker. He's not going to be the guy that lines up over a tight end. Everything I've seen about the stats when he is in coverage is really bad. So hopefully he's not the guy that's lined up. I think it was like he gave up, I don't know, he was targeted, I think, 17 times, and 13 times they made the catch for 10 yards or more. So hopefully he's not covering anybody, but he's definitely the guy from the videos that I have seen. He fills the gaps, likes to get after the running back, which in our division, that's what you're going to see most of the time. And if you win your divisional games, your chance of making the playoffs are really good. So
I will say this about him. What they say in the NFL, the best ability is dependability. And 2017, he missed some games with injury. But other than that, he played 15 games his rookie year, 15 games in 2018, 15 games in 2019. Started over half of those. So the guy, you can depend on him to be there. He might not be the most talented, but in a pinch, you know he'll be there for you. He's not going to miss games due to injury. He might not get any sacks. He has a half a sack in his career. He's got exactly 1/2 sack more than I do in the NFL.
I think you can catch him.
Yeah. I just need a shot. Put me in, coach.
But yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. I mean, for a guy that you're not counting on to be in there every single play or to be that, the main guy on your defense, that's good. Dependability is good. Depth, not a bad signing.
Yeah. And I think they had to sign somebody for their linebacker.
Yeah,
I mean, they're depleted right now at linebacker. This guy was out there. Maybe was he worth, giving the money and signing? Maybe not, but they had to do something.
You didn't know if you were going to get one in the draft either. And you could have had Malik Harrison.
Yeah, you got Jacob Phillips.
Yeah.
Great linebacker out of LSU, Blake.
Yeah. Covers
Leading
the field.
tackler.
Yeah.
Leading tackler on the team,
Yeah.
on that championship team.
Don't get me started. Well, I think probably one more noticeable name we picked up in free agency, Adrienne Claiborne, D-tackle with the Falcons. 2011 first-round pick by Tampa Bay. One thing I found, he actually has the record for the Falcons with 6 sacks in a game. The guy can get after the quarterback. I know you had some stats on him, Zach, that said even though maybe not a huge sack season last year, he still pressured the QB a lot.
Yeah, so he was ranked actually in the top 10 as a disruptor as a defensive lineman. So pretty much that just calculates, he didn't have a lot of sacks last year, but his, quarterback hurries, his pressures, his quarterback hits that he had, after the ball was released, all that stuff put him in the top 10. So yeah, maybe the sacks weren't there, but they can kind of be a little bit misleading. An average fan might think, this guy only had 4 sacks. Why are we signing him? Stuff like that. He's a veteran guy, and on that list, he actually was higher than guys like Joey Bosa.
That's insane to me.
Yeah, and he was like only I'd have to get the list pulled up, but he was very close to Myles Garrett, but better than Joey Bosa. And we just signed this veteran guy that's kind of under the radar and didn't have to pay a lot of money.
And I think if the Falcons using this guy way differently than we're going to use this guy. This guy's not going to be an every down player for us. He's going to be way fresher for us. We put him in third down passing situations, just tell him to get after the QB, that kind of thing. I think he could have a really solid season for the Browns because we're going to be able to keep him fresh.
Yeah, this is that depth on that D-line that, it's already pretty strong. Good D-line, and now you're just adding depth to it. And, I mean, you can rotate guys in and out, and like you said, keep them fresh.
Mm-hmm. And, again, dependability. Going back to 2015, 16 games played, 13 games played, 16 games played, 14 games played, 15 games played. The guy, he's just there. He can do whatever you need him to do. Again, a good leader in the locker room, been there, helped mentor young guys like Jordan Elliott, that kind of thing. So I think, especially to get him 1 year, didn't have to pay much for him. I don't think you can go wrong with this kind of signing.
Yeah, another common 2-year deal, super low risk, fills a hole. That for me, like on our defensive side, that's all we did was we just bought in on low contracts, short term. Really, really, I like that pick a lot. He might not have 10 sacks, but he's going to disrupt, like Zach said.
The first thing that the Browns asked him to do when he got there, when the preseason starts here and everything, guys get in the building, they want him to give a presentation that helmets are weapons.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's the wrong guy. Yeah. Love you, Myles Garrett.
I'd trade him.
There we go.
For the right price. Well, hey, I think that wraps up the big names. I know we had a couple undrafted guys that, Zach, you were particularly interested in, and all of us are just casual fans, and we're not as cool as you. So
we ended up signing 15 undrafted, but just a couple guys that kind of stood out. Bryan Herion, running back from Georgia, kind of under the radar type of guy. I know we have a great running back core. We did sign Hilliard back as well as kind of like our pass catching, third down special teams type of guy. This Herion played at Georgia 4 years. He was actually there when Chubb was there, and Sony Michel was there. He was there at that time. During his career, he had 1,400 yards rushing on 277 carries, so he averaged 5 yards a carry at Georgia. Just didn't get to see the field a whole lot. Had 13 touchdowns, while he was there. I think that, down the road, he could be a guy that could be a third, because I don't think we're going to be able to keep Hunt and Chubb forever. I think you're going to have somebody else, because one of them, if Hunt has a great year this year, he's going to get a bunch of money, and the Browns are going to have to pay one guy. I hope that in my opinion, I hope they pay Chubb.
Yeah.
They're going to have to pay one guy. One of them is going to leave, so we're going to need somebody else to be like a bigger back to help fill that role instead of playing Chubb 3 downs every game and wearing him down. So I think he's a big signing, along with A.J. Green, not the A.J. Green from Cincinnati, but he's a cornerback, Oklahoma State, was projected a 4th or 5th round pick, fell down. His numbers at the combine weren't great. He started 37 straight games at Oklahoma State, which is a pretty good stat. He was their top cornerback, won their team's award, for the most recognized player that went unrecognized. I think it was their Barry Sanders award. But he won their team's award for that, led their cornerback crew in tackles. Could be just a guy, to add more depth. That was a kind of a 4th, 5th round prospect, and then just didn't have great combine and fell.
I know, didn't you? I don't know if you said this, but didn't we give him the biggest?
Oh yeah. Definitely sign him undrafted, give him $145,000 guaranteed, highest in the history of the NFL for an undrafted free agent.
Whoa.
So it means we saw some things in him.
Yeah.
And to me, the combine's cool, and I watch it, but I want to see what your tape looks like. What do you run, a 4.6 40 or something like that?
Yeah, that's I think 4.67.
Yeah, that's not a fast 40 for a corner. These receivers are running 4.3s. But does he play fast?
Right.
Sometimes you play faster than you run a 40. Nobody just ever lines up on a field and runs 40 yards.
Right. Yeah, the undrafted thing and giving him that money definitely shows that they saw something in him to make him. Nobody's ever given that amount of money before, and we just gave it to a guy that his numbers didn't look great, but still got that money.
Well, hey, thanks, Zach. Thanks for being a good podcast member.
Oh, you're welcome.
I was happy to see you contribute. All right, so I want to pose this question to you guys. Was there anybody in free agency that the Browns didn't get that you were kind of hoping we would go after? I know there was only one name out there that at the beginning I was kind of thinking about, but I'm not totally bummed we didn't get, and that was Clowney.
That's who I was going to throw out. And my only thing with that is, what a cool presence that would be with him and Myles Garrett out there. But for the money that he's asking, he's still sitting out there. There's a reason why he's not.
Does he want like $15 million a year or something?
I think it's down to $15 million, which,
to me, if
the
anybody
sack's not there, the production's not there, but the presence. He's a disruptor.
He's turned out to be a way better run-stopping DN than a sack DN, and I think he'd be good for the team. But to me, that's like a $10 million a year guy, not a 15 to 17.
Play that Michigan handoff on loop where she just destroys that running back.
One of my favorite plays of all time.
I could watch that 100 times over. And
I know you probably don't care, Zach, because you like Oklahoma, but for us Buckeyes fans, that was a cool play.
Yeah. I got a shirt for you that I'll wear on one of these episodes. Baker planting a flag somewhere.
Oh boy.
The free agent that's still available out there, Jason Peters. We kind of referenced that he's a comparison to Jedrick Wills. He's still out there and says that he's still got years left that he wants to play. I know the Eagles are probably going to re-sign him and bring him back, but just adding another guy, another big physical blocker on that line, I don't see why you wouldn't want to be interested in it.
I'd throw some money at that guy.
And I wouldn't though. That's just, we got Conklin.
We filled the need,
and we filled the need exactly.
Yeah, but what did we just talk about though? Depth. What? God forbid, what happens if Jedrick Wills goes down? Who's our backup left tackle? He's in prison.
I don't know. Is he in prison?
He's in prison, or he's gonna be in prison. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, we just talked to, God forbid something happens to one of these linemen. Who's our backup?
Okay, but that's the thing is if they went out and paid him the money that he needs to come into a team, he wouldn't be the backup. He'd be the starter. And then what do you do with Jedrick Wills? They want him to be the starter. They want him to be the future of that line. So, I mean, I can understand. I mean, that's a lot of money to pay somebody to come in and either, hey, I want you to try to be the backup because we want this kid to play, or, yeah, we want you to play, but we'd really rather have this kid start.
Is he looking for starter money? Because, I mean, nobody's going to give him that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he wants, what he's looking at money wise.
I mean, the Eagles aren't bringing him back as a starter.
I thought that his asking was kind of up there with the Trent Williams.
Really? Because Trent Williams is like young and in his prime, and Jason Peters is like old enough to be my dad.
Is like
He's 38.
Trent Williams is 32.
Yeah, Trent Williams is older than you think he is.
Yeah.
Conklin still. I mean, at the age that we got him, you don't get that in the NFL. The guy's still young enough that might not even be in his prime yet. You know, for a lineman.
If we had the money, I'd pay the money to Clowney before I paid it to a guy like Peters.
Really? Even with all the depth we have on the D-line?
Well, because Clowney can play linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
Linebacker out there that I just pulled up a free agent list. Now, this guy's a little bit older or whatnot, but he kind of had a resurgence with the Rams. Anybody know who I'm talking about?
Clay Matthews?
Clay Matthews. Still available out there.
You know what? Now that you say that, I am a little shocked we haven't.
Especially his dad.
Yeah. Played. Family very upset, by the way. Family hates the fact that their dad is not in the Hall of Fame.
I know.
Very verbal about that.
To me, though, that's the kind of – I'm kind of shocked that we don't do that kind of thing.
With all the veteran presence we're signing.
Yeah, he's 34, so he's getting a little bit older. He's kind of injury-prone, but he was injury-prone in Green Bay. It didn't work out. He left, signed with the Rams, and was really good while he was healthy.
I feel like the Green Bay kind of ruined him, though. Because their linebackers were so bad, they moved him to a position that he didn't play.
Right, yeah, and look at how – and I think he kind of fell in with Green Bay of being a guy that had to be the guy. Then he goes to the Rams, and they have somebody named Aaron Donald who's the guy.
Yeah.
And, so now I'm not getting double-teamed every single snap, and I think he had 5 or 6 sacks last year.
Yeah, and turns out we got Myles Garrett. We have Olivier Vernon. We have Sheldon Richardson.
Yeah.
So he shouldn't be seeing much, double.
Yeah, he just gives you a leader in the linebacker core.
Which we need. I mean, I like Mac Wilson a lot. I think he has a chance to be a stud. And I think Taki also has a chance to be very good. But, man, we're so young there. I'd like to see somebody who's not in diapers.
He could be in diapers not because he's young, but 34 in the NFL, that's pretty close to diapers.
This is true.
Just the kind you don't want.
Probably got worse CTE than I do. All right. Well, of all these free agent signings, I guess we kind of hit on this, but who do you think's the biggest impact?
Oh, Hooper for me. I think. I like Hooper.
Really?
Yep. Hooper's
I'm going Conklin, man. Like, to solidify that line, that was such a big need. I mean, we obviously addressed the left tackle, what we think is going to be the left tackle in the draft, as long as that transition goes okay. And then you go out here and get this guy. I think 92% pass block success, like a stud. Now, obviously, he had 2 years where he was injured. He had an ACL tear. But last year came back. I think if he would have played like how he did, and Tennessee could have saw that forward, he'd be still with Tennessee. I mean, that was a huge, huge signing.
Yeah, Tennessee's going to miss that. Derrick Henry's going to miss that.
Yes.
We're going to love that.
We're going to love that. Yeah.
I'm just going to jump right with you.
Go ahead.
Conklin's my guy. That's my best signing. When I saw that we got him, when I saw we got Hooper, I was psyched. But when I saw we got Conklin, I was like, that's awesome. I'm happy. And then one guy we didn't mention was Andy Janovich that we traded with Denver, bring in the fullback. Now, we have not had a fullback in a while. And to me, that coupled with Conklin, with the draft pick, everything we're doing just says we are going to run the ball like you guys have never seen before.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people out there might be thinking, what do we need a fullback for? But a team that used a fullback exclusively last year, they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
True fullback. Not sliding a tight end back there whenever you need somebody to fill that, that fullback spot. A true fullback.
Just exciting.
Watch this year.
You know how many times last year I felt like the Browns last year would get in, they'd get in second and short and throw a bomb, because thinking is second and short, you throw your bomb. If you don't get it, it's easy to pick up 3rd and 1. The Browns couldn't pick up 3rd and 1, and I think adding a guy like that it just only helps the offense. We can take more shots on early downs now because if we get in short yardage situations, this guy's going to create a hole, and Chubb's going to find it, Hunt's going to find it, and we're going to be able to get 1 yard this year. There's not going to be any more first and goals from the one, and we get 8 tries. Yeah, and we don't get it. This guy, we're going to get
was awful.
So yeah, I think.
Well, and the Janovich thing I was reading, apparently the report was when he first got traded, found out he was traded to the Browns, he wasn't too excited about it, and then he came out and said after he talked to Stefanski and whoever it was in the front office, he came out of the meeting saying, I'm pumped to be here because they told him how he's going to be used. Now, they didn't talk about what was specifically said in that meeting, but he came out excited about his role, which means he's going to be important on that offense.
Right. I mean, I'm so excited for this coaching staff. I've said that before in the past.
Yeah.
I was actually one of the people who was excited for Hugh Jackson.
Me too. I was too, and I was excited for Freddie. I get crap for that all the time. My wife, you say that every year.
I say that about a lot of things.
So I'm trying not to say like, oh, I'm pumped about Stefanski, but like inside I'm like, just prove it to me, man. Just show it to us.
I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic, but as a Browns fan, it's like impossible not to be excited because I just get excited about the Browns.
Right.
But man, everything I hear about him, and especially the way the draft went, everybody's on the same page. Man, I'm so excited.
Well, he's got the track record, from Minnesota, the way that offense ran, and I mean ran.
Right.
He gave
we have the pieces.
He gave Kirk Cousins a career year, and his running back was one of the best running backs in the league.
Yeah, because Cousins didn't have to do it all. It wasn't all on him.
Yep.
Right. He got to be just the quarterback that they needed when they needed him. Like last year, we were trying to use Baker all the time. Like he had to try to do everything because we just weren't running the ball like we should have been.
Yeah, with the Hooper signing, the weapons is, you have that now. You have Jarvis still. You have Odell. Now you have Hooper. You have Hunt. You have Chubb. You got a fullback now you can throw in there to run the ball. The different offenses and stuff that you can put together, the schemes that you can do is crazy. Compared to last year, I felt like we did the same scheme. Hand it off to running back, have him pitch it to a wide receiver, throw a 15-yard pass.
Our entire offense was a wrinkle.
Yes.
We had no base offense. It was just like Freddie opened the playbook to the back to the trick play section. That's just what he called plays from.
I will say that I got to give the Browns some props because, when they chose Freddie Kitchens, it was between Kitchens and Stefanski.
Mm-hmm.
So they went with Freddie because of, the relationship that was already there. He had already been in Cleveland, shown some things, and it didn't work out. And they didn't try to make it work. They just said, this isn't working, cut, done. And they went straight for Stefanski.
Thank God. Could you imagine a second?
That's what I was going to say. Can you imagine going into this year, another year of Freddie after all the...
You guys look at us. We are true Browns fans, everybody. We already forget that we went into a Hugh Jackson season after 1-15 and 0-16.
Yes.
Right.
And we went into a third season with that nutmeg.
Yeah. What did we finish last year record-wise?
7-9.
7-9, which is crazy.
That is a win.
Okay, so now now I'm going to play kind of devil's advocate here for this group because we all don't like Freddie Kitchens. But the fact of we've hated a coach that went 7-9.
It was the third best record the Browns have had since they came back.
And we were calling for his name when we were, he was actually putting together some wins at the end of the year. Like, oh my goodness, I hope we get rid of this guy.
Yeah, man, I hope the Browns lose these last 3 games so we fire Freddie.
Yeah,
I said that. Those words came out of my mouth. I feel dirty.
I was saying the
that.
same thing too. Though I'm like, please don't give him some sort of excuse to be like, well, I guess we could keep him for another year. I can't do another year.
We won in spite of Freddie Kitchens, not because we won because we had a crazy talented roster.
You don't see any successful head coaches get reamed out by their wide receivers on the sideline in the middle of a game.
You don't see any successful head coaches get fired and then have to go
be
demoted all the way to tight ends coach.
Yeah, tight ends coach for the Jets.
Yeah.
Hey, does anybody know who the Jets tight end is right now?
No.
And I do fantasy, and I can't even off the top of my head go, I don't know.
No, like normally your head coach gets fired. He's at least an offensive, defensive coordinator somewhere. This guy's a tight ends coach again.
Yeah.
And he was the head coach of the Browns last year.
Where's Hugh Jackson coaching?
I don't think he is.
That's what I'm saying. So at least Freddie's got a gig.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. I just say, okay, well, kind of look at where we've come. If you'd have told us back when we had Hugh Jackson, not winning a game and said, hey, you're going to have Freddie Kitchens, he's going to take you 7-9, we'd have been like all about it.
7-9, yeah.
Yeah, so, But yeah, no, I mean, it's exciting. And we'll get into it, in later episodes, more episodes as the season gets here. But I'm excited about the upcoming year and all the things that could happen.
I got a little sidetracked there. I guess I could talk about Freddie Kitchens' lack of coaching ability for a long time.
Well, that's what this show is all about. We love talking about the Browns, whether they're doing good or bad. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't ever give up on them. If they suck, then I'm like, you suck, and I want to talk about it. If they're good, I mean, you guys are awesome, I want to talk about it. That doesn't happen as much, but
for some reason, even after we select like Courtney Brown, I'm still a fan.
And the cool thing will be a year from now, we'll go back and watch these episodes where we talked about the free agents and the draft picks, and we can reevaluate how far off we were.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong, but like next year, if the Browns just follow history, we'll be like, man, Jack Conklin was awful. What were we doing signing that guy? I could have played tackle for the Browns.
Yeah, let's hope we're not saying that.
Yeah, man, I hope I'm wrong.
We're talking about our late round draft picks next year.
Yeah.
And how they were wildly successful.
Right.
Harrison Bryant tight end of the year. We'll probably have a Lombardi trophy. We can talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won't be talking about who we're going to pick in the top 10.
Donovan Peoples-Jones ends up being the new #1 on the team or something. Who knows? It's getting crazy out here. Let's just get wild.
He heard what I said about him. He puts like a bag of dog poop on my door and runs away.
So Peoples-Jones, it was something I did read about him. I know in our last episode we talked about him, that he texted Jarvis Landry right away about being on the team. I'm excited, about playing with you. And Jarvis Landry was like, yeah, cool, man, and had no idea. He got on Instagram and saw that they drafted him. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, you're on the team. About it. It was like, but he sounds like he's eager to learn, so.
He was like, oh, Dell, who's this guy texting me? Dell was in a hot tub, singing and dancing. Man, who am I to talk crap about professional athletes? I make torque converters for a living. Oh, man. Well, hey, this was a fun episode, guys. I was happy to be here with you guys again. Everybody listening, thanks for listening, checking us out again. 3rd episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Check us out on YouTube for videos of these things. Check us out on Facebook. Facebook is where we're the most active right now. We're trying to get our other things up and going. We're going to have a Twitter eventually. Yeah. Zach got us banned on Twitter.
Yeah,
dude, tell that story real quick.
Okay, so we set up a Twitter page, okay, and then had to set it up with the birth date. All right, so we had the birth date put in, and I thought, it'd be a cool idea to make the birth date the first episode of the podcast. So I made it. It was for last Friday, 2020. Well, as soon as I click submit, I get booted out because I'm not 13 years or older. So now it's locked out. Can't even sign into the account. So you have to fill out a form, everything. Had to send a picture of my driver's license in. So I'm waiting approval to be able to.
This is why you're not the idea guy.
Yeah, so tune in next week to see if we had to create a new Twitter page because I might not have gotten approved.
Yeah, and stop by Goodwill. You might find your next piece of man cave stuff there for 50 cents or so. You never
get a
know.
good night's rest.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. Great neck support.
Yeah, check us out on the Facebook page. We also got an Instagram. We're getting up and going. Be active on that Facebook page. Comment things you like, things you don't like. Any interaction we get with you guys is awesome. That's why we do it. We want to interact with you guys. It makes it more fun for everybody. Thanks for checking out the 3rd episode, and we can't wait to bring you the 4th episode. Thanks, everybody. And welcome to the 3rd episode of the Dog Pound.
Whoa.
Hang on.
It's a 3rd episode.
I almost said, I just was reading Dog Pound.
It's a 3rd episode, and
I
you
said,
got it wrong.
Well, hang on. Scratch that.